All right, everybody, welcome back. This is the End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu. And today we are talking about one of the most requested topics that we've ever... No, I'm just kidding. No one has ever requested this. The only one who would dare to request such a topic is, of course, me. That's
Yes.
right. It is Ragnarok, the end of the world as told in Norse mythology. I think I alluded at the end of last episode that this was, one of my favorite, when I was in third or fourth grade, one of my favorite books to look through was the book they had of the Norse myths.
Right.
And I think you recalled that you did not do the same.
Yes, I weighed in with sheer ignorance as per usual.
No, come now, Michael. Don't be so hard on yourself.
Never heard of this stuff. Although I heard of Thor because of the movie.
Yeah.
I
Odin.
don't know which movie. One of those movies.
You never heard of Odin?
Yeah, I mean the names. Yeah.
Odin, like Odin Lloyd, the guy that Aaron Hernandez murdered. As a Patriots fan, surely.
Usually with Odie from Garfield.
Oh, brutal. That's
no, Odie's great.
No, he's one of the best. He's the only good character in that entire strip, some would say. But that's a topic for another day.
Shots on Garfield earlier.
Garfield's going down, but not today. Garfield will have a reprieve for now.
Yes.
But before we get into talking about the end of the world as seen from medieval Norse perspective,
Talk about the saving of the world.
Well, potentially some very good news in theory, and that is that the ceasefire between Gaza, or Hamas, and the state of Israel has officially been signed as of today. I believe we're recording this on Monday, October 13th. Donald Trump flew over to be there.
To bask in the adulation of every single person of every political persuasion.
Apparently that's what happened. I mean, they had this summit in Egypt, which Netanyahu oddly did not attend. And, a bunch of representatives of Arab states, Turkey, a few other places. And
Bill Clinton weighed in praising Trump effusively.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. And then he went and spoke at the Knesset, which is, of course, the Israeli parliament.
Where he asked for Netanyahu to be pardoned, called him one of the greatest wartime presidents. And so what's a bit of cigar and champagne, I believe was the quote.
Very odd to ask for a pardon, which implies...
It got a standing ovation.
Yeah, no, of course. But it implies guilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the things Trump doesn't seem to get about his mania for pardoning people.
I think he doesn't worry about guilt, though.
He doesn't care. No, I mean, clearly. So, well, this is very good, right? We just passed the 2-year anniversary of the October 7th attack and the 2 years of absolute slaughter that have followed it. I'm happy, of course, the idea that this might be coming to an end. The way forward, I think, is...
It's important to note that it is still primarily an idea.
That's right. I mean, it doesn't seem like people have stopped dying just yet, right?
No, and it's the language too. I mean, I listened to the Daily this morning that was sort of talking through it.
Just got to size up our competition.
There's so much of the language is. I mean, enough has been said by far smarter people than me about the way that these linguistics around this conflict work. Good example right there. But
yep,
first it's like what we don't know, and what it actually means in practicality. So that there's going to be this exchange, and of course those people are named. The hostages will come.
This is what I was going to say. So yeah.
The hostages, the Israeli hostages.
And then they're like the 1,700 Palestinians who've been held without charge. And I'm like,
it's like what they said on the Daily was and 1,700 detainees, prisoners, right?
who are held without charge. I'm like, isn't that called being a hostage?
Right, and among the 20 hostages are military.
That's right. Yeah.
But again,
prisoners of war,
ceaseless, like humanizing of one side over the other, and I think it is fair and reasonable to say that it is good that the 20 remaining hostages are being released,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
of
it's
course.
completely disingenuous the way that places like the New York Times have the like balls to still be like, and at the end of the day with this deal, Stu, at the end of the day, the single overriding most important thing was the release of these 20 hostages. And it's like, don't give me that after you have done this, for 2 years,
Yeah,
murdered countless thousands of people,
maybe
while
maybe hundreds of thousands.
pretty quickly thereafter, at least in the last year, the majority of people in that country are saying stop and release, get the hostages. And now it's down to 20. And it's like at the end of the day, Netanyahu and co, what mattered most was the hostages. And this is what makes me so sick about it. It's like that this is going to be this first step in this, I guess, continuation, but like profoundly visceral moment of whitewashing that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this is creating.
that's right.
It's disgusting.
No, that's right. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, you've said it all. I don't really have anything to add. That's
Oh, the other thing I just wanted to mention
no,
was like
please.
it's like this idea of it's not withdrawal.
No,
You
no, no.
notice,
It's
right?
it's it's
It's a
uh
pullback.
yeah. There's a cordon
First
of
of all, like pullback from what? I mean, we've all seen the aerial shots of this
yeah,
calamity, catastrophe that has been brought on Gaza. Um, and the idea, that they can even continue to use this sort of language as though it's a sign of compromise. Is that what I'm supposed to believe? That like what happened here was a compromise? Come on. Like, who are we kidding?
yeah. And I mean, we saw with the last flotilla that was maybe not even the last, but the one that got the most media attention with Greta Thunberg and other people on board, and interviews of which I heard on Chapo Trap House and several other, with people who were on board the flotilla just before it was apprehended. Yeah, I don't know if you saw this video where because the Israeli Navy was like out capturing these peaceful aid deliverers, the Palestinians were like able to fish for the first time in 2 years, and they're like hauling in nets full of,
Wow.
and it's kind of like, oh, you know, right, they prevented them from even fishing
Right.
because what could be more insidious than trying to
And
feed your family?
again, like there it's overall it's obviously better that this step is taken than not. I mean, I don't think
Sure.
there's, you know, uh, that's not really what I'm saying. What I am saying though is that, like, the impact of the violence that Israel brought to Gaza, right? Um, is obviously like morally heinous in so many ways, but also like the ceasefire itself, the actual product, the actual deal. Um, the tragedy here is how much time has passed since this deal could have so
This deal
easily.
was offered on
I
October
mean,
7th.
come
Like,
on. It's like this is something that um, there was a willing partner to do this so quickly, and the decisions to not and then do it and be like, look, we finally look at this historic moment.
yeah,
We're agreeing to this deal as though you
it's a
couldn't have
bit
done that
much. Yeah.
on October 13th last year or the year
No, I
before.
mean, literally, Hamas offered to release the hostages
Right.
immediately with
And then
assurances that Israel would not invade. And then,
literally you're still able to just look in the camera and be like, what mattered most was getting these hostages back to the family. It's like, what, like, never, like, leaving aside, uh, keeping it all within Israel and within Israeli politics and society, just for 1 second. Um, what a despicable thing to say in reference, indirectly, to all the hostages who died in the time that passed.
who died and or were killed
And
in the
yes,
bombings and other
well, that's
things.
the other thing you hear in the New
Right.
York Times. They just kind of gloss over it, right? It's like, you know, there are some, they have reached out to families saying that, they might not be able to get the remains of their people because they are, buried in the rubble. It's like, well, okay,
How did that happen?
yeah, how did that happen? Like, and yeah, it's again, these totally crass people on Trump's side who are taking a victory lap when this is a time for utter humility and somber movement forward, right?
I agree. Yeah, I think that's well said. Yeah, I don't have much to add. I think you've done a really good job covering it, and of course, we'll continue to keep an eye on this as it plays out, as we understand what this truce maintenance and
Yeah.
how the development of Gaza and or repair of some of the damage is perhaps undertaken. But let's turn to a more uplifting topic, namely the end of the Norse world. So the Norse. Do you have any? What are your associations with the Norse?
um, so there was an amazing, well, like long distance speed skaters, Bjorn Dolly,
Okay.
I think primarily of the Winter
What
Olympics.
what
Are you,
about
are,
what about Bjorn Borg? Wasn't he?
was he Norwegian?
I feel like he must have been,
I
right?
feel like he was Swedish.
Oh, could have been Swedish. The Swedish are Norse as well, though. It's all kind of one.
Oh, okay.
It
Well,
does not just the
what's
Norwegian.
Norse?
Well, that's right. Norse is kind of a demonym, I guess you could say.
Well,
For
you could also say an explanation of that word for
it's a word
the
that denotes
emphasis
a people that live in an area, right?
Okay.
I think it just means the North people, right? And I think
Sure.
it's generally used to apply to Scandinavians, i.e.,
Okay.
Danish, Swedes, and Norwegians, and Icelanders. And
Vikings come to
the
mind.
Vikings are sort of where this all stems from, right?
Okay.
So the Vikings' origin is a little bit mysterious. We're talking about the so-called Dark Ages, right? The aftermath of the fall of Rome, which we have not yet covered, but we'll eventually get to. Uh, Europe has gone, or Southern Europe at least, has gone from being one big polity to the roots of what will become modern countries like Spain and Germany and France and things. Uh, but there's also this scourge that emerges from the north. Now, this is about 400 years after Rome falls. In the 790s is when the first Viking raids strike in England, and it's a little bit out of the blue. It's like, whoa, they attack this monastery in Lindisfarne, uh, and they ravage very quickly, steal a bunch of stuff, get on their boats, and are gone. And the survivors are like, what was that? Right? It's as if like a
Like
new.
a forebearer of Blitzkrieg.
Yeah, I think so, right? I mean, I wrote about this in my first book a little bit, where this is the time when like tactical advantage really shifts battles very quickly. So I
Hmm.
make an analogy between the sort of Arabs who emerge out of Arabia, obviously, and
Yeah.
conquer much of the southern Mediterranean world, right up into to Turkey, up into
Turkey.
yeah, Turkey, as we must not call it. I apologize. All the way to Morocco, right? I mean, they conquer all the former Roman territory in North
Okay.
Africa. And the reason they're able to do that is because they have a tactical advantage. They just are using tactical attack techniques that the Romans have no defense for.
Right.
Vikings are kind of,
Sort of no conception of, right?
yeah, it's like out of the blue, these guys show up and they're doing things on horseback with bows and arrows that we just haven't really
These guys are doing things on horseback I've never seen before.
essentially, right? And the Norse are kind of the equivalent of that. Um, we have with them they're nullified. The Norse, they're converted to Christianity relatively quickly, within 200 years or so. Varies from place to place. By about 1000, conversion has really begun to take hold amongst the Vikings, and by 1066, the last Viking raid, the last Danish attempt to conquer England happens and fails. Um, it's the Battle of Stamford Bridge, right, where Harold Hardrada is killed. He's sort of thought of as the last Viking. And then, of course, the descendants of the Vikings, the Normans, do succeed in conquering England that same year. But by then, they've been Frenchified, right? They've become Christian. They're speaking French, but they're still Scandinavian guys, right? But they're just like they're all named like Louis and Jacques now.
Mhm.
Iceland is an outpost. It's kind of remote, and it's from Iceland that we get what we have of Norse mythology, because Iceland was an unusually literate culture in the Middle Ages. A lot of people could read and write. And even though Iceland by 1000 has converted to
It's like a
Christianity,
geographical phenomenon. Like people are sort of in a tight
ice,
space.
yeah, isolated.
Yeah.
It's pretty cold. I don't have
In a
anything.
space. Yes, isolated is a better word.
I don't have anything to do. Well, here's this book,
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of thing. Iceland's population very small. I mean, even to this day, I think there's like 200,000 or 300,000 people in Iceland. It's
Yeah.
not a
They
not
tied
a
France today in World Cup qualifying.
really.
Soccer. Yeah.
Well, I know. I mean, they're kind of good at soccer for such a tiny
They made major tournaments, which is extraordinary.
for such a tiny country. Yeah.
They actually did like this actually kind of plays into this. Like, yeah, it's like so tight knit that one of the things that they did when they were in these tournaments is the manager would like give tactical conversations instead of just in a press conference, like in like with fans and with fellow countrymen before games and sort of go over what he's going to do and stuff.
In Icelandic, which no one knows except for
Yep.
them. Well, I learned a little bit of Icelandic. You've never been to Iceland, have you, Michael?
No, my brother went.
Yeah, you should go.
Swears by it.
It's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Here it's pretty pricey.
maybe now. I went 19 years ago when it was.
It's definitely more expensive now.
I mean, it was expensive then, but it was. We went for a week maybe,
Mhm.
and it was in the summer, so it never. It's the
Flights are cheap, right? They get you in. It's kind of like a Vegas style thing, right?
yeah a
Get
little.
you in the door, then like you can't get off the island. It's going to cost you $19 for this locks or whatever.
We had an Airbnb, but it wasn't Airbnb yet. It was just a B&B, I guess we called it back then. And it was sorry for that brilliant explanation. It's a beautiful country. In the summer, it just stays day all the time, right? The sun doesn't set. Sun kind of dips below the horizon for a minute and then comes back.
Wow.
Because it's so far north. And it's a beautiful country. And the people are incredibly nice. Really cool music culture. A lot of Viking stuff.
Sigur Rós?
That's right.
Is that how you say that?
I believe so. One of the great
bands of the last
yeah
50 years.
Yeah, they were kind of like in my mind, they were sort of the successor to Radiohead. Like, ooh, another cool,
Sure.
weird band. I remember being in my car in high school, putting that first Sigur Rós album that broke on over here in probably 1999 in the Blockbuster Video parking lot, and just being like blown away.
I'm like, this is gonna last forever.
Two things that will never be forgotten: Blockbuster Video and Sigur Rós. But anyway, Iceland, really cool place, highly recommended. Yeah, today we mostly know of the Vikings and their mythology through movies, through Marvel, Thor, obviously. There's also that movie, The Northman, that came out a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Eggers. Couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
It's not your kind of thing. It's sort of like a Mad Max. Is that so?
Did you like The Northman?
I didn't see it, so
okay.
I think I have it.
But you have seen these Marvel movies, right?
I've seen all of them, of course.
So what are the Marvel movies that people know?
Well, Thor is a Marvel comic character since the 60s.
Yeah, he's got a hammer, right?
He's got a hammer. He's blonde, although in a lot of the myths, he actually has red hair. That's something that always bothered me about the comics. The comics were very accurate. I mean, they adapted a lot of the stories from the Poetic and Prose Edda, which are their two main sources for Norse religion, very, very faithfully, as a sort of backup stories to the main story where Thor's, fighting with Captain America against Red Skull or whatever. Yeah, and Loki is in fact the first villain of the
Loki. I know.
Loki. He's the big villain in Marvel. He's the first villain in the MCU, the sort of first Avengers movie, and also the first Avengers villain in the comics. I mean, Loki has. We'll talk about all these people in a little bit. I just want to talk a little bit more about.
But the myth is much older than the Marvel movies.
Believe it or not, yes.
When does it originate, or what's the earliest indication we have of it?
For some of these figures, we have pre-Christian, like
really?
Yeah, BC. For Odin, Odin is probably the oldest of the gods. Thor, not much younger. there are inscriptions that date from, yeah, before Christ.
Okay.
Tacitus in the early first century AD writes about Germans who believe, these gods have a lot of overlap with Germanic gods, which we'll talk about in a bit. But before that, you know, we should talk about Snorri. Snorri Sturluson is this kind of renegade prince on Iceland in the 1200s. Eventually gets assassinated after one too many alliances, one too many backstabs. He gets taken out. But apparently during the winter, he's the guy who wrote all of this down. He wrote this long story called the Prose Edda, which is a commentary on this older text known as the Poetic Edda, which is a kind of collection of all the best stories about the Norse gods.
Okay.
And he's writing about, he was a Christian. They were already Christian at this point. But even after Christianity, they retained an interest in these older stories of their people. What's cool about this is a mythological cycle that has an ending, you know?
What do you mean?
Like, it ends. The main gods die. There's fire. The earth is purged. The world ends. In Greek myth, we have cycles of death and rebirth among the gods. Like, first there's Uranos, and then he's overthrown by Kronos. Then foolish Kronos is overthrown by Zeus, right?
Sure.
But Zeus prevents his own overthrow by his potential son with the nymph Thetis by marrying her off to the human king Peleus, right? And the offspring of that union is, of course, the greatest Greek hero, Achilles, right? But the idea being that if she had married Zeus, Achilles would have been the next head god who would have overthrown his father. So Zeus,
so he reduces Achilles' immortality at one remove.
Yeah.
Now he is powerful as Zeus.
Right, he's the greatest human who ever lives, but he's no
Look, you're a hell of a human.
He's no threat to Zeus, though. There's a legend of Zeus's final downfall. I don't know it. We don't have it. So Zeus, by the time Greek religion is phased out, Zeus is still on top, right? Whereas in the Norse pantheon, most of the gods are of the same generation, or there's a father and his family. It's the kind of single, and we don't have this repeated cycle of renewal. What we have with the Norse gods is this foreordained moment of doom called Ragnarök. And Odin is like the main god. He's the king of the gods. He has one eye. He's the god, is referred to as the All-Father, the god of the hanged. And what Odin is doing is Odin knows about Ragnarök because he has mystical foresight with the aid of this magical well that he visits. So he knows the world's going to end, but he's trying everything he can do to delay, essentially. So as various threats and omens that may relate to this inevitable end pop up, Odin's like, how do we deal with this so that this isn't like the first domino to fall in the line of our inevitable death? Odin's connected to warriors, poets, the dead, many other groups within Norse society. Poets, he's sort of like the patron god of like the storyteller or skald in Norse society. He only has one eye because he gave up his other eye in exchange for deeper knowledge and foresight. He's also said to have taken the unusual step of hanging.
What a fun trade! Imagine that'd be such a cool thing that was like there was a marketplace for that type of thing.
Well, this is like one of your hypotheticals, right, Michael? Like,
I guess it is.
Do you take Odin's deal?
I don't want to be ripped apart in the chat, but I feel like I don't know what kind of knowledge would you need to give up an eye? You think?
God, I don't know.
I can only.
What if you could see
advanced knowledge of like sports bets?
Oh, come on, Michael. The Biff Tannen move.
Hey, if I know the Bills are covering tonight, you can take my eye out.
That's pretty funny. I was gonna say, what if you could see like a new color?
Well, that's different. Now you're saying the other eye becomes more interesting?
Well, no, just like you have a new knowledge of like the visible or something.
Sure, that's a little more. Yeah, I would say more like.
I'm thinking less practically and more.
But like you take an eye out and all. Yeah, you're thinking. I'm thinking more practically. Like, I could like suddenly know how to fly a plane.
That'd be cool. Yeah, like Nathan Fielder.
I guess then
Um,
I would just be a pilot, but I wouldn't be able to get the job maybe because of the vision problem.
Also, yeah, the one eye. Sorry. Wow, you're the best pilot we've ever seen. Unfortunately.
Just a whole process where they're like getting waivers done for me so I can fly, proven myself so effectively. I've explained the exchange.
You're like, well, look, Odin came to me and off. Eh. Well, if you think that exchange was crazy, how about this next one? So, Odin is said to have taken the unusual step of hanging himself from Yggdrasil, the world tree, for 9 days in order to obtain the knowledge of runes.
Oh, now we're talking. This is even more
So
interesting.
he allowed writing to be discovered and understood by his people, but in order to do that, he had to hang himself for 9 days from the world tree. So the
Like
Norse
hang himself, how?
by
Like,
the neck.
oh,
Yeah, he
like
had to hold his breath for 9 days. He's a
okay,
god, so he could pull it off, but pretty
but it
cool.
still was hard.
Oh yeah, he
Yeah,
suffered. This is very similar in a way to the crucifixion, right? It's the
sure.
idea of like God punishing himself so that his people might gain. The world tree is this.
Whereas the Christians, the Catholics were like, don't worry about learning how to read for now.
No, we'll read for you.
We'll read to you. It's easy. We'll cut out the middleman.
Yeah. So, um, the world tree is the central feature of Norse mythology. They imagine a world that has 9 realms. We're not going to go through all of them, but essentially, there's this place called Asgard where the Aesir, who are the pantheon of Norse gods, all live. It's a castle, and it's joined to Midgard, Middle Earth, which is where Tolkien got the name, of course.
Oh,
Is joined by a rainbow bridge. So that's right, Norse gods confirmed woke. Anyway, the rainbow bridge is called the Bifrost, and Heimdall is the god who guards the rainbow bridge. He will play a role in a little bit. As for this hanging and trading an eye, Norse myths always have this kind of reciprocal structure where you like something is gained but something is given.
love it.
Um, and it always has a cost, right? It's not nothing is gotten for free, right?
Mm.
So Odin is the most
Pay for
ancient.
what you get, as Dave Matthews once said.
Pay your dues and your debts, pay your regrets. Everybody tells you you pay for what you get. That Dave Matthews, that poet. Yes, I'm familiar with his scalds. Um, so so Odin is among the most ancient of the
What did he
Norse.
trade to come up with two-step, right?
Yeah, number 41. Is that? Did he lose his hearing? I don't know if I would. Yeah. Anyway, but as I was saying before, Odin's the oldest of the Norse gods as far as we can tell. And he's connected to Germanic gods like Wotan, Woden, Woden in Germanic pantheons, as I was saying. And these go back way before Christ.
Okay.
Odin's the father of the other gods, and he also is responsible for the creation of the world. Yeah, he had 2 brothers. They were
A lot on
born.
his plate.
What's that?
A lot on his plate.
Yeah, he's a busy guy. They slew Ymir, the primordial giant, from whose body sprang the oceans, the land, and the heavens. It is said that Ymir's skull itself made up the vault of the sky,
Mm,
while the waters of the ocean consist in his blood.
natural.
But when he killed Ymir, he didn't realize Ymir had left a few descendants. These are the Jotunar, the giants, who are the god's primary adversaries. Odin is wily and cunning, and though he has a magical spear which never misses and never returns to its owner's hand until its deed is done, he often seems to seek to work through subterfuge and other means rather than through direct.
Gets bored of the spear, right?
Yeah, he's got the magic spear. He can just be like, spear, kill whoever, and like literally just toss it out, and the spear will find that person. It won't come back until the deed is done. Kind of a terrifying object, right?
Yeah. And also just interesting that he gets bored enough of it to be like, gonna try a little subterfuge.
But I think it's also an acknowledgement that violence is not always the answer, right? That sometimes more is to be gained through cunning than through direct confrontation. He is always accompanied by 2 ravens that sit on his shoulder and advise him. And he also has two wolves that are with him at all times.
Who offer no advice.
They can talk though, but they do not. They're not the advisors. I think they like
just kind of chats, water cooler stuff.
He rides on them from time to time. They're big enough to be like ridden. Yeah. He also has, as I said before, the Well of Mimir, which is the font of foresight, buried beneath the roots of the world tree. And Mimir, there's a long story involving Mimir that we're not going to get into, but essentially, there's Mimir's head is like in a well, along with, I think that's where Odin threw his own eye also.
Okay.
And so this is like the place of that exchange, and he has to return there at the base of the world tree to like pull up this head and talk to it and get advice from it. Second most famous god is of course Thor, who's also the most prominent. He's Odin's son. His mother is the Earth. That's right.
Wow.
Odin was dating the Earth. Oddly though, the Earth also Odin's daughter by some reckonings.
Oh.
Awkward. In any case, Thor's the god of thunder, storms, fertility, protection, power.
Just those 5 things?
A bunch of more too. I tried to pick the most relevant ones. Unlike his father,
come on, give me fertility.
Unlike his father, Thor acts directly and is presented as being somewhat easily deceived. He has his magic hammer, Mjolnir.
Is he a himbo?
A little bit, like Chris Hemsworth, who plays him in the movies. Kind of.
Oh, yes, that checks out.
Yeah. He crushes his foes with Mjolnir, his magic hammer, which was forged by dwarves. Yes, there are dwarves. The dwarves are important because they make the gods' weapons and stuff, but they're spoken of with such scorn in the Edda. It's like these disgusting dwarves who like live beneath.
Ain't that always the way?
Yeah, there's also elves, although very little is recorded about the elves. The elves mostly seem to live in heaven. They kind of are beyond.
They're higher status than dwarves, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They also are like above mankind. They live in a realm beyond. Basically, Thor has Germanic roots. There's a Germanic equivalent, which is the god Donar, which is similar to the modern German word for thunder. And he's also Shawarma. I don't think that's German originally, and I think that's from the Middle East. Anyway, tales of Thor depict him as being always at war with giants and other monsters. He's kind of the gods like, Thor, like one of the Jotuns got through the defenses. Better go kill that 600-foot tall guy or whatever.
What sort of missions come across his desk?
Yeah, but Thor's also often out, and Thor's getting tricked all the time. There's this story about Thor meeting Utgard Loki, who's this powerful giant, and Utgard Loki like deceives him about all these things. He's like, "Bet you can't lift up my cat," and he's like, "Oh, why can't I lift it?" And the cat is actually there's like an illusion has been placed over Thor's eye. The cat is actually the Midgard serpent, who we'll talk about in a minute. Another thing that happens is, here, drink out of my glass. I bet you can't finish this glass. Thor drinks, and he's like drinks and drinks and drinks and drinks, and he can never finish it. And it later turns out that he was actually trying to drink the ocean, right? So Thor's like always falling victim to pranks, and especially those offered by Loki, right?
Yeah.
And Thor's, the most famous of the Norse gods because of the Marvel movies and Marvel comics. And as I said in the notes here,
what is Loki's like superpower? How does
Loki?
Yeah,
we'll talk about him next.
Loki.
Well, Loki is the trickster. He's the changeling. Loki is
like Puck.
Yeah, a little bit like Puck, like a magic fairy. He is magical. He is more powerful than most people. He's the child of Odin and a frost giant, one of their greatest enemies. So he's kind of... And it's also not clear if he's biologically related to Odin or if he's just taken in by Odin. Odin and Loki have a lot in common. They're both very wily, very crafty. And Thor is kind of the more meat-headed like guy between them. Loki sometimes helps the gods. He's not like always a bad guy. He's not like the devil. But at the same time, he is fundamentally evil. And he
Right. So he's
will.
not just playing. He's not just playing around. He's not just having a laugh.
No, no, he's evil. Like, he's the one
Okay.
that causes the end of the world. Like,
Oh.
yeah, he's a shapeshifter. He's also capable of becoming a woman if need be. And there are myths of Loki turning into a
Oh.
girl. Yeah, very woke. Yeah, those Vikings, how woke. Um, he's also the father of all the three great monsters of the Norse world. So we'll talk about them in a second. Um, his like he gets bound, and I'll explain why in a minute. Like, chained up, and that's kind of one of the things that leads to the end of the world, to Ragnarok.
Okay.
Because he makes a transgression. But let's talk about his three monstrous children first. First, there's Fenrir, an enormous wolf. He's a wolf that is like so big its jaw is said to reach from the ground to the top of the sky. Like this,
That is big.
we're talking about a gigantic wolf. When Fenrir was young, he's already so powerful. The gods were like, "What the fuck are we gonna do about this wolf? None of us can stop this thing. It is so only the war god Tyr, Tyr, was able to befriend the wolf, and the wolf trusted Tyr, and he was like friendly with it. Um, Tyr promised Fenrir that he would not betray him, and so the gods devised like this cruel trick. They did this thing where they're like, Fenrir, I bet you can't break out of this thing that we tie you with, right? So they tie him with some iron manacles, and Fenrir like easily breaks out of it without even a thought. And then they get like an even more bigger, more like, you can't do that, right? And they put it on him again, and he just breaks out of it easily.
Yeah.
And finally, there's this magic binding devised by Odin. And Fenrir's like, guys, I don't know. It seems sort of like you're trying to bind me. And Tyr is like, Fenrir, I promise we're not. And as a surety, I'll let you have my hand, my right hand, in your mouth. And if I betray you, you can bite my hand off. So Fenrir is like, all right, well, that's fair. They bind him with the magic binding. He's actually bound. And when he realizes what's happened, indeed, he does bite off Tyr's hand.
Another trade is made.
Exactly. But the cost is enormous because Tyr is one of the gods' greatest warriors, and he's now lost his sword hand.
Yeah.
So, the second monster is Jörmungandr, the Midgard serpent, who's basically a giant snake. Like, a snake so big it can circle the whole world. And in fact demarcates the outward limit of the world in the Norse vision.
Okay.
And it's biting on its own tail for most of the time because it's like, oh, what's this? It's my tail. Oh, it's something. It bites on it. And Loki had all these children with various giants and giantesses.
Yeah, of course.
Unclear what gender Loki was at the time, but the children are all kicked out of Asgard. The wolf is bound up and kept near Hel. The serpent is thrown in the ocean where it encircles the entire world. And it's said that when it releases its tail, that's one of the signs that Ragnarok.
Like when it lets it go from its mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then it's going to need something else to bite.
Game on.
Yeah, exactly. And then lastly, but not least, is Hel, Hel, the queen of Hel, queen of the realm of the dead, also Loki's daughter. And we don't have too many stories about her directly, but she figures most importantly in the tale of Baldr, which is what we'll talk about now before going on to Ragnarok itself, because the one thing leads into the other. So Baldr is like the handsomest, nicest, best god. He's Odin's second son after Thor. Everyone loves him. He's so hot. He's so chill. No one can believe it. And however, Frigg, his mother and Odin's wife, keeps having these nightmares that Baldr is going to die. She doesn't like that. No, you kill Thor, not my hot son. So she went around and made all the plants and objects of the natural world swear that they would never, under any circumstances, harm Baldr. And they were like, great. Sandpaper was like, you got it, Frigg. Alder, oak, stone, iron, right? Just like every element of the world. all except for one. She came across mistletoe and was like, oh, mistletoe, it's far too insignificant. It would never
Yeah.
harm Baldr.
Mistletoe, who needs it, right?
Yeah, so she just ignores the mistletoe. It's also said in some versions of the story that mistletoe was so young that it wasn't legally allowed to make such a pledge. There's like a weird, like, I'm not kidding. There's a weird legalistic.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And you know what's going to happen, right? Loki hears about this. So the gods, once she makes all these things, for fun, the gods just throw stuff at Baldr and watch it bounce off. Like, that's what they do for entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, who could resist, right?
They're like, oh, let's throw a spear at Baldr. Ding! Like, bounces off. Let's.
No, he's just a party trick.
Exactly. And he likes it, though, because he's such a good guy. So people are crashing.
Lucky. Yeah.
People are crashing boulders on him. But Loki hears this, and he learns about the neglect of the mistletoe. And for this reason, he contrives a spear made of what? That's right, mistletoe. And he goes to Baldr's blind brother, Hodor. Yes, probably where that George R. R. Martin character gets his name. I like that he picks a blind guy, too, because this way Hodor can't check and be like, wait a minute, that's mistletoe.
That's mistletoe.
So he gets it. He's like, hey, I got a new spear for you to try on Baldr. Hodor's like, oh, okay. Hodor. He says no. And he throws the spear at Baldr during one of these games. And Baldr gets pierced by the spear and dies immediately. And everyone is freaking horrified.
Yeah.
Frigg, his mother, goes insane and starts neglecting her duties. Odin comes up with all sorts of contrivances to try and rescue Baldr, none of which work, of course. Odin immediately has a new son with a giantess called Vali, who grows to adulthood in a day and then murders Hodor for daring to kill Baldr.
Poor Hodor.
Yeah, poor guy, right? I don't feel like he really did anything wrong. Eventually, Loki's role in all this is discovered, right? And Loki gets tied up like his wolf son Fenrir with his like organs pulled out of his body. It's very gruesome. It's kind of like that. The end of Midsummer sort of situation.
Oh, God.
Baldr and Hodor, however, reconcile in hell, so that's good. They're both dead, but they're trapped in hell until the end of the world. And it's Loki's binding and his desire to escape, I think, that can be understood as the main agent of Ragnarök. Although the cataclysm doesn't have a single cause, right? I think it's better to understand it as like divine cyclical necessity. Perhaps sort of clearing away of the old world to make ready for a new one.
Sure.
Like what we see in the Greek myths, except in this case, we don't get the new world. We don't learn what happens when the new gods reign. It starts with a brutal winter for years and years and years that kills off a lot of humankind. And then
kind of like a flood type
a little bit like the flood, yeah. There's 3 roosters, one black, one red, one golden. Each of them crow as a ominous giant sings a song in the background. Gotta like this, right? There's also another beast we didn't mention called Garmr, who's the chained hound of hell. He starts braying, barking so loudly that the whole world is filled with his cries. And then, what's that I hear? Is that a chain breaking? Yes. Garmr is loose upon the world. So this hellhound gets loose, and that's like, it's on. Yeah. When that happens, the giants all...
Wait, so moving from hell into the world.
Back into Earth, to Midgard, and eventually to Asgard, right? Heimdall, on noticing this, the guardian of the Rainbow Bridge, sounds his horn and summons the god to council. Odin retreats to his magic well to try and learn what to do. The giants, the Jotnar...
Give me a second. I'm going to go to the well. I'll be back.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. The giants begin their attack on Asgard, and the Midgard serpent, Jörmungandr, releases its tail and begins thrashing about. So all the ocean is like turned on its head, waves everywhere, floods. Then the dead return in an army to help aid in the slaughter, led by Hel, the queen of Hell. And even worse, the dead's neighbors from Nuspelheim or Niflheim are the fire giants, led by their king, Surtr, who has a flaming sword that is as bright as the sun. So things are not looking so good.
No. When it rains, it pours, or flames.
And I think we can understand another thing that happens is Fenrir, the wolf, escapes. Some people say that the hellhound Garmr is just another aspect of Fenrir. I prefer to think of them as two separate, giant, murderous canines.
Sure.
It's time for battle. Odin, riding a wolf and bearing the gun gear, attacks Fenrir, the giant wolf, and immediately the wolf devours Odin. Odin's taken out. First things first, dead.
Wow.
Thor can't come to his aid, though, because Thor is wrapped up fighting the Midgard serpent. Thor is facing one-on-one against the serpent that can wrap around the whole world. However, luckily for Odin, his other son, Vidar, who has an enormous shoe, is able to wedge the shoe in the jaw of the wolf and through its mouth stab down into its heart, killing it. The reason he has a giant shoe is because every time you're trimming your shoe leather, on your Icelandic boot or whatever, whatever the extra trimming goes, that goes away. When you throw it away, it joins his shoe.
I see.
There's a lot of stuff like this where it's like there's a practical. There's also a ship that arrives with evil giants on it that is made up of all toenail clippings ever. Like horrifying, right? It's like, talk about apocalyptic, right?
Yeah.
All human, this giant ship, a Viking ship with literal giants on it made up of human toenails. What could be more horrifying?
I mean, frankly, at that point, you may as well just get it over with.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm done. Goodbye. Yeah. Thor fights and kills the Midgard serpent, the huge, monstrous worm, but only at great cost. For he is able to take but 9 steps away from the serpent's mouth when he drops dead. R.I.P. Thor. I remember reading that as a kid and being so upset. Thor died? What? But it's an important lesson. So Loki attempts to scale into Asgard again, does battle with Heimdall, guardian of the bridge, and they kill each other. Loki and Heimdall die in mutually Greek tragedy style. They both stab and they both killed at once. The Vanir god Freyr, who we didn't talk about, battles Surtr, the flaming sworded giant, but is slain. And Surtr's flaming sword lights the entire earth on fire. The sun turns black and vanishes. The sea swallows what's left of the charred remains of the earth, and the world is over. The gods fight these great evils and lose.
Wow.
Right?
Don't hear that every day.
No. But there's hope.
Oh, thank God.
After time, the earth sort of bobs up out of the water.
Hello.
It's looking refreshed. A couple of the gods survived. Well, how about that? They look over. There's a waterfall. What's that? Is that an eagle? There's an eagle hunting fish over the waterfall. Oh, maybe this isn't so bad after all. The gods who have survived
around here too, to be honest.
Yeah, they find on this field near that waterfall the golden chess pieces with which the Aesir used to play. So the idea of the gods were like playing chess in the sky, I kind of like.
Mm-hmm.
They reminisce about all their friends they've lost, those and the monsters as well. Those monsters, they were a pain, but they were
pour one out for Thor type thing.
Yeah, pour one out for the Midgard serpent. Whatever happened to Surtr? Hope he died too, because he seemed unstoppable. Modi and Magni appear. They are Thor's sons. From now on, they will share in the use of his magic hammer, which also survives. Guess who it is? Baldr and Hodr. they're out of hell. When
What?
the army broke out, they walked out with them, and they're fine. They're back. And you know what? They're reconciled. Baldr's like, you know what? It's all good.
Baldr still looks great, to be honest.
Baldr looks amazing. Baldr's going to be the new head god, I have the sense.
Yeah.
So, best of all, Leif and Leifthrassir, two humans, one of those is a woman, I don't know which one, hid in a forest during the destruction, and they're the only two human beings to survive.
A forest that didn't get swallowed by the sea.
A magical forest, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Very magical. In fact, they'll be the, if you will, Adam and Eve of this new reality. Though the sun was destroyed, good news, it had a daughter. And she's taken up Dad's place. A new sun rises. The end.
Wow.
And that's it. That's where the myths end. We don't know what happens next. I'm sure there were further stories at some point, perhaps. Really,
and what? It's never been discovered, basically.
Well, we're lucky we have as much as we do.
Because, yeah, so it was never written down, or
this was all oral tradition stuff, right? And we have a lot of it written down because of Snorri, and there are a few other sources, but this is the main one. I mean, I find this stuff really cool, just really weird and fun, like the giant shoe. What?
I mean, for me, the toenails, the fingernails, got to be the big one.
I mean, it's horrifying.
Yeah.
What is it with them and feet? I think both of these, right? The giant shoe, the toenails.
Pick that up on a future episode.
I think one thing that's interesting is it's possible all of this was informed by Christianity.
Interesting.
Like Christianity,
so the myths are being reconsidered with the perspective of Christianity having already taken hold.
But even before that, like Christianity, the Vikings sailed down to Byzantium in like 600 or whatever, or whenever Russia was founded.
Long way to go for a raid.
Well, that's why the Vikings founded, the Kievan Rus. Like they set up their state above the Black Sea so that they could trade and raid, with
trade and raid. Love it.
With the Romans. But so then, some people have said Asgard is based on Constantinople. That when they first saw Constantinople, they were like, oh my God, the gods must live here. Look at this city. It's freaking insane. It's made out of gold. How do we get in? How do we raid this place?
Yeah.
Also, just like this, there's this end of the world ending in fire is kind of Book of Revelation. There's some overtones. Baldr feels like Christ. He's like sacrificed. He's deceived and betrayed. He returns, at the end of the world. He comes back. Scholars debate on all of this. And, who am I to object to their debating? I think I welcome their debate. I don't know.
Yes. You've become king of it with your successful dissertation that just happened. For any of our listeners, we will now be referring to Stu as Dr. Stu. He briefly asked to be called Dr. Watson, and I said absolutely not. The end of the world with Michael and Dr. Stu.
I would never demand.
But congratulations.
Thank you, Michael.
In other big news, I just got my wedding photos back. So perhaps
good.
On the Instagram, which is the end of the world WMS that you can follow. Maybe there are a couple pictures of me with my beautiful looking groomsman, Mr. Dr. Stu Watson. So perhaps we'll post a couple of
and your missing sunglasses, which we've talked about quite a bit on the show, and it's been the object of great amount of sadness among the fandom.
Yes, well, I was pretending for a long time they were $1,400, so I had to pretend I was more crushed than I
But what do you make of all this Norse myth stuff? Like,
I mean, I respect the sheer size of the battle at the end. The amount of stuff going on at the end is like, at least it's not quick. It's pretty spectacular, right?
Yeah, there's this giant all these monsters.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool that there are so many monsters, right?
Yeah, and I'm big into the trade-offs. We'll get into those hypotheticals at a later time. Perhaps I'll go back to the well, as they say in Norse mythology, and
boom, wow.
Come up with a few to get excoriated for later amongst the listeners.
Oh, I'm glad you've taken so much away from this, Michael. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was a fun one.
I read the the prose Edda in its entirety, which is not that long, but it's long enough to be like to try and get all my head around all of this. I mean, I knew of the background just from my childhood reading to a bunch, but it's, and you know that of course it's also a thing of like, well, there's conflicting stories. This other story says Thor did this and did that, you know. And I'm also leaving out some of the adventures and stuff like that, but
Okay, because next week I think we're actually getting into. I think you would agree.
yeah,
A text of similar scope and importance,
and
which
a modern myth, if you will,
Gattaca.
one that maybe speaks directly about or towards the future to which we are so recklessly heading, right?
There will be something like that next week.
But I haven't watched Gattaca in a while, so I'm looking.
I have not watched it since high school.
Yeah, I would say it's been at least 20 years for me,
and I
maybe
remember
more.
specifically watching it on a classic like substitute teacher mailing it in day.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah,
isn't that the best when that happens?
Oh, glorious!
All right, well, I'm looking forward to that. And in the meantime, if you like the show, you can leave us a rating and or a review on the podcatcher of your choice. You can also follow us on that podcatcher. And, you know, you can also follow us on Instagram at the End of the World WMS, where we are fond of posting exciting and influential reels of our adventures.
And perhaps some wedding photos. So.
Reels of our adventures. I feel like my description of this is going to just get more and more ridiculous each week. And yeah, it would be fun to find. Michael will text me some wedding photos to post because I, unfortunately, am saddled the responsibility of posting for the Instagram account because of the way it was.
And as people can probably tell by now, reading the material.
No, Michael, come on. You always add so much, even when you read nothing at all. And that's why I love you and why I'm so glad we do this show together. Now I'm getting a little misty eyed. I'm getting a little sentimental.
Yeah, that's like the wedding. A lot of tear filled photos of Stu.
Oh yeah, I was crying. I was crying quite a bit at the wedding. That was a little embarrassing. Should have held myself together more, but you know what? I wanted everyone to know how much I cared, you know. Some would say I was performatively crying.
I think that might help you get over it. Let's start saying that to everybody. Yeah.
What's that?
Just that it was performative. There was nothing real in the tears.
That's right. It was completely unfelt, fabricated madness. All right. That's enough about that.
Now to our next great pastime, which is watching Josh Allen play football. So let's do it.
Let's do it. And until then, this has been the End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu. And we'll talk to you real soon.